boys and girls. So I have now been riding around on my Specialized Crux built up as a one bike solution for a while now. And in this video I just want to talk to you about the pros, cons and why you might consider it and why I've done it. So cycling is a sport jam-packed with gear, which is partly why I love it. I love to nerd it down and test and try out the best new gear. But I also love the simplicity of cycling. It's just get on your bike, have fun and keep the pedals turning, I guess. I kind of felt like I was getting lost in the sauce. Too much gear, too many decisions, a lot of opportunities though. But for me it felt like I wanted to make my cycling choices more simple. I also wanted to be more agile. Like if I were to move to a new city or a new part of the world in, let's say, a couple of months, I'd like to do it with only one bike instead of having to bring two. And lastly, every time I ask myself which bike would I choose if I could only have one, 9 out of 10 times it would be the gravel bike. It's just so fun and so capable. I can pretty much do most of my riding. So as you know, I decided to buy a Specialized Crux for its capabilities, and now I just want to go through what my criteria for this bike was. First of all, it needed to have a 2x chainring setup. I needed to go fast on the road, and also I wanted to have as big a gear range as possible with as little jumps in between gears. And for that you just gotta have a double chainring. I've also tried a 1x setup, it just wasn't for me. The bike needs clearance for a minimum of 40mm wide tires, ideally more. It needs a racy geometry in case I wanna slam it and go for a road race. And also I like to race on gravel, so it needs a racy geometry. It needs electronic shifting. Mostly because I've just grown accustomed to it and now I can never go back, I don't think so. But also because I had a gravel bike previously with cables and it was just too much of a hassle having to change out the cables all the time because the mud getting stuck into it, and when the cables move they just get ripped apart. And the front shifter was absolutely dog shite when racing in dusty conditions. Lastly, it needs to look okay with narrow slick tires. Sometimes too much of tire clearance can make it look a bit too funky. On the Grizl I think it was on the edge of looking too funky. Oh, and another one, as well as the Grizl had too much clearance at times, it also had too many mounts. I'd prefer a bike without any mounts. Maybe a mount for like a top tube bag, that'd be alright. That actually be really neat. But for aesthetics, I don't want any mounts. And the bike, like the bags that I normally throw on the bike, are like mounted with Velcro or straps of some kind. So I don't need to be able to mount anything on the fork or anything. I don't do that stuff. So now let's talk about the benefits. First of all, you only need to upgrade on one bike. You only need to service one bike. You only need to get a bike fit for one bike. And lastly, in most cases, you should have more money to put into vacations or getting to cool places and ride your bike or anything else that's more important in your daily life. Unless you, of course, spend the extra money on getting a better bike. But for me, it was mostly to get more money into investing into camera gear, going on sick trips and all these things. Now let's talk cons about it, because it's not all rainbows. You need to service it more regularly because you're riding this bike a lot more than if you're getting to distribute the kilometers on two bikes. Maybe you'd like a different fit when you're riding road versus gravel. Like for instance, whenever I get on the road setup, it feels like I'm too not in an as racy position. So You just gotta keep that in mind, that you won't get the perfect position for each discipline. It's impossible to get a bike that performs perfect on road and perfect on gravel. It's a compromise between the two. In a gravel bike, you most certainly will get a more stable ride to tackle some uneven terrain, and on a road bike you probably get a more compliant bike, but also a bit more agile to it just feels more responsive, I guess. And if you want a one bike to both do gravel and road, I'd recommend buying another wheel set. That's also a con though, because it means that you have to go out and invest in another wheel set. The reason that I recommend having two wheel sets is just it's a hassle to switch tires all the time, especially if you're running a tubeless setup. That's really a mess, and you want it to be convenient. Otherwise I don't think that you're going to utilize it being as capable on the road and gravel. So yeah, you want it to be convenient. And lastly, if you only have one wheel setup, you might not be able to go on fast group rides, and that's a bummer, for me at least. So overall, it comes down to your living situation, budget and preferences. For me right now, personally, I think that the Do-It-All bike is a great option. First of all, I lack money at the moment. So for me to free up the cash that I had in the Aeroad to go on and invest in camera gear and also in cool experiences like going on holidays into Mallorca, Bergamo, Girona, everywhere. It was a no-brainer for me basically. And also, like I mentioned in the beginning, I love the simplicity of only having one bike. Every time I go on a ride, it's not really a decision like what bike to choose. Of course I have to set it up with the right wheel set for the type of riding that I'm doing, but I always know what the bike feels like. It feels like home, even if I'm on the road or if I'm on gravel. With that being said, because it's a gravel bike, it does feel a lot more at home when it's on gravel, but that's just the name of the game. You have to go to like a compromise somewhere. So because I really enjoy gravel riding, the Do-It-All bike is a great fit for me at the moment. If I leaned a bit more into road riding, I probably wouldn't do it. I'd probably just buy a cheaper gravel bike maybe and still have my road bike, because I do feel like it's not the perfect bike for road riding. But for me, road riding is just training and having fun with friends, and I don't right now I don't have any aspirations to road racing. With that being said, I will admit that the most optimal setup is probably to have two bikes, but for the reason mentioned, I'm willing to go have a compromise and test out if the one Do-It-All bike is a solution for me. So that's why I'm testing it. So if you like this type of video where I just share my thoughts on cycling related stuff, please leave a comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.